Welcome to episode 47 of the Midwest Angler Podcast. I'm Scott Sturman, joined by Matt Deitch, and ice show season is officially kicked off.
For some people, ice season has kicked off.
Yeah, that's right.
But not for us.
That's right. Yep.
But ice show season has kicked off. We had the Dakota Angler Ice Institute last week.
Cables Shop with the Pros was this last weekend. And like you said, though, ice season has kicked off for some people. I did see some people way up north in North Dakota, I think, got out on the ice.
Some people up by the Bemidji area up in there. Okay. I also saw a post that Red Lake is starting to make ice. So,
really?
Yeah, a lot of people venture out there.
Yeah, ice. It will not be long. But we've actually got the man who I believe was the first person to get out on the ice this year. Our dog, Mr. Craigie Oyler.
Craig Oyler.
Out in Rapid City, South Dakota. He got out on October 30th this year. We do not know for sure, but we're thinking he's the first person to get out on the ice and fish, and we got him today. We're going to cut right over to him. Hey, Craig, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, boys?
Oh, no, not too bad here. It's kind of an honor for me. This is the first time I've got to talk to you on here.
Yeah, I was trying to decide if I was excited to have you on or if this was going to be pain for me or what, but I think I'm excited to talk to you, Matt.
It's a little bit of both.
Right?
You just never know what kind of shots are going to be taken on a show like this.
Yeah, no kidding.
No. So, well, Craig, you actually got out on the ice here a couple weeks ago, October 30th, I believe you were on the ice?
Yes, sir, October 30th. I'm being a diehard ice fisherman. I've always wanted to, I'd like to get out as early as I can, and we've been toying with getting close to October here in the hills, but we just haven't. I've got, I think, November 12th or November 11th or 12th is my earliest in the Black Hills, and the weather patterns are it's been crazy. It was a crazy summer, and then it turned into a crazy fall, and we're having just really, really cold temperatures. That morning that I went ice fishing, it was 9 below zero when I drove by the lake, and I mean, that's just crazy cold for us this time of year anyway. And we were able to pull it off, and, obviously safety being priority number one. I had checked it the day before, and it felt like it was safe and good to go, but I was by myself, so I didn't even step out on it. I just hit it with the spud, and it was 2.5 to 3 inches then, and so once we seen it was 9 below the next morning, I called my buddy and I said it's going to be good to go. And yeah, it was 3.5, pushing 4 inches ice, which, some people don't necessarily find that to be thick enough. But for us, we have all the safety equipment, floating suits and picks and, even cleats. So people overlook having cleats out on that new ice, but you don't want to slip and fall when it's 3 to 4 inches. So, just with all the safety aspects in mind, we went out there and, we caught fish, and it turned out to be a really, really great afternoon of fishing.
Nice. Now, how big of a body of water were you out on?
Oh, it's just a small pond in the Black Hills. It's probably just a couple acres, I suppose, is all it is. So it has a freshwater creek coming in there that, that's why it freezes so early, is because it's all that cold water coming in. And that, I don't know if you saw, I posted a picture of it about a month ago that it was froze over once already, and so I knew that water was primed and ready to go. It just needed some consistent cold temperatures, and once that happened, we were, like I say, more than excited to get out there.
Yeah, what were you guys targeting?
Trout. It's just a stocker trout pond. It's kind of there for the tourists, but we take advantage of it first ice, and anymore with the Black Hills, they're stocking fish in that 12 to 16 inch range. So they're fun fish to catch. Not necessarily my favorite thing to go after this time of year, but I said it before in the previous interview. The rainbows, they are such a scrappy fish. They are fun to catch. It's just not my favorite, I guess.
They'll teach their own. I think they're a riot.
I was trying to politely say that without offending you, Scott.
Well, thanks a lot.
You don't
I'm
have,
triggered.
you don't have to worry about triggering old sassy Scott over here.
Dr. Ice Cleats.
So
There it is.
yeah.
So, Craig, but I'm thinking that the listeners are like, holy moly, October 30th. That's not the earliest you've been out.
No, sir, it is not. You're familiar with Robbie Rembrandt. He's a Nebraska fishing legend out of Scotts Bluff. He's just a great all-around fisherman, and it's kind of funny. I didn't know who he was. I was out working in Pier, and I had the evenings where, my wife and kids were at home, and I was staying in Pier, and I didn't have anything to do, so I fished, which was just torture for me, but I felt like I had to do it. But I was out on the ice fishing by myself, just the stilling basin below the dam there, and catching walleyes and pike and just having fun, and it was dark, and I was in my shack, and I could hear someone walking up to my shack, so I flip it over, and this guy starts talking to me about how the fishing is and what I'm catching. He's telling me what he's catching, and then he says, "Hey, we have beer and pork chops over in our camp set up." And when I say camp, there was 4 guys there. I think they had 12 hubs set up and 13 sled. It was crazy the amount of stuff they had on the ice for 4 or 5 guys. And anyway, so he offered me beer and pork chops, and I am not one to turn down either of those. Mm-hmm. So I went over and had beer and pork chops with strangers, and it turned out to be Robbie and Monty Batanker and a couple of their friends, and I'm just real solid guys. And so Robbie and I stayed in touch after that, and I found out he's as big of an ice nut as I was, and so he started talking about wanting to fish in October, and I'm thinking, man, that'd be awesome. Let's see what we can do. And being down in Scotts Bluff, he's a little bit closer and more familiar with the Rocky Mountains, and so he started tracking weather, and over 2 years he figured it out, like this window where it consistently stayed below freezing in this one mountain range, and so that 3rd year we decided we're going to try, and so just on a whim I took off and drove down there, and that was on October 14th, and so we were able to get on safe ice there. Not all the lakes were froze around in the mountains, so it took a lot more hiking and a lot more walking than what I'm used to, especially at, I don't even remember the elevation. I think it was 12,000 feet is where we were at, and it, even the simplest of hikes is a lot of work then, but luckily we found some safe ice and made it happen, and we actually went back the following year and did it again, I think on October 16th or something like that. But small trout, nothing spectacular. It was fun to say we did it, but I don't necessarily need to do it anymore, especially if I keep getting ice here in the Black Hills that early.
Now, how far did you actually have to hike in?
Oh, just probably a mile and a half maybe. Not terrible, but like I say, more than I'm used to doing, especially at that elevation.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I mean, and I guess at the end of the day, you weren't even for sure that there was fish in this lake?
No. Well, we did. Robbie, once you get to know him, he's a planner, and he was so dedicated to making this happen. He had a map with all the different lake names, and then he had the stocking reports or the netting reports from them, and the stocking reports, so we knew which ones had brook trout, which ones had rainbow trout, and this one has the biggest brook trout, and he had it all figured out. I got all the glory for it, but because I caught the first fish, but he did all the real hard work from it anyway.
So,
but I think he likes that.
Now those 2 years and this year, as far as you know, you were the first person to fish in the continental United States on ice, correct?
As far as I know, I mean, I'm not going to guarantee it, but yeah, I
need a
haven't
guarantee.
seen any posts from anywhere else or anything.
We need a guarantee, Craig.
You know what? I'm pretty sure I was the first person in the lower 48 to be ice fishing.
Oh, gosh, It sounds good to have that.
How was that?
Yeah.
No.
I convinced myself there.
Yeah, you did.
No. I mean, how is the ice fishing looking for this year out in the Black Hills?
I mean, we've had such an unprecedented weather year all summer and fall and now into winter. I gotta believe it's going to be nothing short of amazing. I mean, to have ice this early, and I've since been out. I was out last Sunday, and we were on good ice on a different lake catching bluegills and perch. And I mean, we haven't had this good of ice this early. So with any luck, it's going to hold. And as long as we can keep the snow away, we should build a lot of good ice to have a good base anyway. And realistically, someone made the comment that by getting in October, if I can keep ice around here until May, which is not unheard of for the Black Hills. I mean, that's 8 months that I'll have gotten to ice fish this year. So I'm crossing my fingers that happens.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, to go a whole entire year and only open water fish 4 months out of it. That's us down here or over here in Iowa. We're basically the direct opposite.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Yeah, you get 4 months of ice fishing, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes 4 months is dang good.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, we can go up to Minnesota and we can go up to South Dakota if need be. But yeah, I mean, there's years over here where the lakes don't even freeze completely.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'd go crazy.
I can remember being out in a boat in the middle of March.
Really?
Yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah. Now, Craig, like you said, last weekend here, you were out ice fishing, catching some bluegills, catching some perch, and now that the cat's out of the bag with the Ice Institute behind us, you were using a brand new rod. As far as I know, you may be the first person to catch a fish on these new rods. Tell us about these new rods.
Well, I can guarantee you I was the first person to catch a fish on these new rods.
I love it. I love the guarantee.
There's a guarantee.
Right? I knew you'd appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Cold Snap Outdoors, they are the reason you even know who I am. I mean, Dan Hogue took me under his wing, 15 years ago, I suppose, and kind of showed me what it was like to be on the promotional end of the sport of fishing, and I've when I joined on with Dan, he had covers for the 8, the 9, and the 10-inch Jiffy auger, and that was it. And luckily he quizzed me a lot. Him and I he picked my brain a lot, and so we got along really good. And I was as honest as I could be with a lot of his ideas, and then I had ideas, and we just kept coming up with more for the company. Well, this year we decided now let me go back. 2 years ago we decided we wanted to tap into the rod market, and I tell you what, we took our time. The seesaw rod that we unveiled last year is just kind of the perfect rod for dead sticking, and it still has a noodly tip so you can still jig with it. But we spent a lot of time with that, but then we thought we need to tap into more of that rod market, and we actually collaborated with Scott. You might not even know this yet, but we collaborated with the boys at Glacial Lakes Outdoors.
Oh yeah.
Jim Gerard, Andy Stromsness. Two amazing rod builders. And, they've entered competitions, and every competition they've entered, they won, I should say. And so with that, we cloned 2 of their award-winning blanks. So the King Perch rod, which I'm sure just about everyone in the Midwest has one or has heard of them anyway. We've got the King Perch rod that was cloned to perfection. And then the walleye rod, we've got that one. So yeah, we've got a 28-inch light action rod, which is just your great panfish, bluegills, smaller perch, stuff like that. And that's what I was fishing with mostly last weekend. And man, does that thing fish good! It's just a really, really sweet rod. But then we have a 28-inch medium light, which is more of the perch and walleye rod. Maybe not necessarily if you're targeting Lake Winnipeg walleyes, but just a small walleye. Well, Iowa walleyes. You know what I'm talking about. Smaller walleyes.
Shots fired.
No, I'd agree with you.
But then we have the 30-inch medium, which is a more dedicated walleye rod, and I'm super excited. We're gonna this winter start working on a lake trout rod too. So we're gonna try and get all the specs of that dialed in, so they'll be ready for market next year. I'll hopefully get a few made this winter and fish with them, and just try and make sure we got everything where I think they need to be, and go from there. So. Yeah, you talk to Dan, you know all about Cold Snap. I mean, it's such a great company, and Dan is just one of those guys you can't help but like him. And I when he first started talking about these rods, I kind of half thought maybe he's a little crazy, but because it's a flooded market, it really is. But he was going about it the right way. We're taking award-winning blanks. And the term we're using is a factory custom rod, because these are truly custom rod quality, but we're eliminating the part suppliers, the blank suppliers, we're eliminating all that. And so everything's made in one facility, so we're cutting out the middleman. So these are custom quality rods at less than half the price. So, I mean, I really think people are going to look at those and look at everything else that's available, and it's a no-brainer that this is the rod you're going to want to buy, especially it's a $50 rod. And,
yeah.
I mean, that custom rod anywhere else is going to be a $120 rod. So it should really, really take off good. I know it was well received at the Ice Institute anyway.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And now you guys are calling this the Cold Snap Redline Series, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's just another funny thing. Dan and we tossed around different names for probably a month and a half, because I kept saying we got to separate it just from Cold Snap Outdoors, just because I think it's going to open a whole new door for Cold Snap. So, just kind of make it its own thing, if that makes sense. And so with that, we just wanted to come up with the right name. So we were bouncing things back and forth for well over a month, and then he just texted me, and he just said Cold Snap Redline Series. And as soon as he said that, I thought, man, that's a cool name. So so that's what it is. And yeah, it's like I say, it's just such a good rod. Brian Kavanaugh and he was the one fishing with me last weekend, and as soon as he started fishing with them, he just said, I don't see myself using any other rods this year. And that means a lot, because, it's easy to have 20, 30 different rods, and you pick out 5 to take with you every day. And I myself, I don't see myself, other than whatever I figure out for lake trout rods, I don't think I'll fish with anything but these Redline Series rods.
That is cool. Everybody has their confidence rod. And you for Lakers, and me for bluegills, and Matt, for bluegills, whatever. You have that rod, and you get that feel or whatever. And when a person that gets so used to a rod like that picks up another rod, and they're like, "Holy moly! Like, I really like this thing. I don't think I need to go back to my old rods." That says a lot, because we're all fishermen. We're all trying to we're all trying to catch fish every single time, and no one's gonna put something in their hand if they don't think that it's giving them 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm probably more excited about it than I should be. I think Dan is still in the cautiously optimistic stage of it, but it's that good of a rod. I'm almost speechless, because it was, there's a risk you take when you say, this is what I want, can you build it? And especially when you're dealing with overseas, they can send you your prototypes, and of course the prototype's going to be perfect. Right. And, they're not going to send you one with crooked eyes. So there's still a risk you take when you make that order. And they showed up, and every one of them is flawless. So, Dan did his research, and we did all the checking, and I just got to say it right now before I forget, but Jim Gerard, from Glacial Lakes Outdoors, he was integral in making all this happen too, because he has that crazy ice fishing rod knowledge. I mean, more than anyone in their right mind should have. But he knew what to look for, and even he was blown away by these rods. So, it just it says a lot about him.
You bet.
Now, what would you say your favorite feature of these rods are?
Besides looks, I've been a custom rod guy all my life, and I like the looks. I don't know if you've ever looked into like the Brickers custom rods. I mean, they're by far the most beautiful rods out there. But besides from the looks, when you load them up, you look at where that bend is. I think the term is the parabolic bend, but I don't even know how to spell that word, so I shouldn't say it because I really don't know what it means. But I know that it arcs, it loads up the whole way. You might have a little bit of a soft tip, but once you get into the backbone of it, it's not 20 inches of backbone and then it's as rigid as a broomstick, behind that. It takes it the whole way, which is very important when you're fighting fish, especially bigger fish, because, you don't want part of the rod to give up and the other part's not doing anything. And I mean, that's how those fish throw the hooks. So when you have the whole rod loaded on a fish, it's less likely to drop that hook. So, that's something that where Jim was real integral and was, he had already had those two rods designed where they took that. He had that parabolic bend dialed in perfectly, and thankfully they were able to match that. And eyelet spacing, that's something that's often overlooked when you go in to the mom and pop bait shops and they have those cheap $10 rods. Well, the eyelets are 2 inches around and there's 3 of them on a 30-inch rod. That's not going to do a person any good. You got to have eyelets that follow that bend around with the rod, so your line's not getting kinked in goofy spots. So, just all of that stuff. Is there a favorite feature? Not yet, but once I design my lake trout rod, I'll come up with a favorite feature, and I'll make sure to add it on there just for you, Matt.
All right, sounds good to me.
I like that bait keeper on it. I think that bait keeper is sweet.
Right.
It folds out, and I think like if you're throwing something like with a treble hook and whatnot, that'll be really nice to hook that on there, with a jig and wrap or whatever. But I think that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I that was a pleasant surprise for me when I seen those on there. I had seen that style before, and it's a really nice one. Foldable, so it gets out of your way. Not that it's that huge of a deal, but it's just kind of a nice feature on it. That's for sure.
I'm a tinkerer when I'm jigging. Like I'm always rubbing like my my fingernails on stuff. I just know I'm going to be sitting there wiggling that thing around.
That's why we don't sit in the same house as each other.
Hey, yeah, you the old fish caresser, and yeah, whatever. Craig,
So now, where can a person get these rods at? Now that they're out and on the market and everything. I mean, they're at the Ice Institute. Where else can a person get them? Cold
Snap will be at all the major shows the rest of the winter. So, coming up is going to be St. Paul Ice Show, then the Fargo Ice Show, and I know there's a couple others that I'm missing. But that's going to be where you can actually put hands on them. They're probably not going to make it into stores this year just because we were a little late receiving them to, stock store orders. So, otherwise it's coldsnapoutdoors.com. You can order them up that way. But, getting to the shows, those are always so fun to get to anyway. I mean, I have a kid in a candy store there, but, you can actually put hands on them so you can see how awesome they are. But I can guarantee you won't be disappointed. So if you go to the coldsnapoutdoors.com, you'll be able to order what you want there, and you won't be disappointed with them.
Right. Now, with these Redline rods, Craig, what's the plans for the rest of the winter? Where are you going to be putting them to the test?
Well, for me, I don't know yet. I'm not much of a planner. I'm kind of fly by the seat of my pants guy, and I don't have any big trips planned this year. Obviously I'll end up going somewhere. But locally I've told you before, the Black Hills has so many different opportunities. The lake I was on last weekend we had perch, crappies, bluegills, and bass. It was just a little bit of everything. And, so I fish a lot around here, but I think I'll end up in Wyoming a couple of times. There's a couple bodies of water over there I've been doing a little research on that I haven't fished yet. So going to try and hit those. One of them has muskie. I think a muskie through the ice would be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Be tough. You're going to have to drill 2 holes next to each other so you can figure 8 all the time.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That's a great idea. But then, I'll end up, I plan on coming to Okoboji and fishing with you knuckleheads before the winter's over. That's for sure.
There it is. There's no fish. There's no fish in Okoboji.
Well,
that's what he'll be saying.
Show you that catch that one that's left anyway.
Oh, you can see him down there, but
yeah. No.
And I have never fished Okoboji. I've fished a lot of lakes around it, but I've never actually I've open water fished it, but I've never ice fished Okoboji. So, I would like to definitely make that happen this winter.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, that'll be a riot.
What are some of your other goals for the ice fishing season? Besides places that you want to fish, like, you got any goals, like what size fish you want to catch, or a new species or anything?
This is going to be a real cheesy answer, but probably my biggest goal. I'm not. Obviously I'm the lake trout guy. That you know me because I've caught a couple lake trout, and I love those things, and I'm not necessarily out there trying to catch the biggest one in the lake, although I would more than welcome that. But if there's a goal, it would be just to keep up with the education and importance of catch and release on them, because we're making big headway, but there's still people out there killing them, which obviously it's totally fine. It's a healthy fishery. It survived all these years with people killing a few lake trout here and there, but I keep telling myself or asking myself, how big would these fish get if they were getting let go every time? So if that's one mission or goal that I have, it's just to continue the education on the importance of catch and release with the lake trout. But if there's anything real species-wise, I've yet to catch a 1-pound bluegill through the ice. I think that would be a goal, and I haven't done anything to try to achieve it, but that's definitely something I really, really want to do, is to get a 1-pounder through the ice.
It is nice to hear some people give some recognition to the bluegills.
Just a little bluegill.
I love bluegills. I don't fish them in the summertime just because I'm a lake trout junkie, and when I'm not catching lake trout, I am a walleye junkie. But I love fighting bluegills. They're such a fun fish to catch, and there's something about them when they get so big that they've got that forehead on them, and they're perfectly pie shaped. They're a pretty special, unique fish, and I love targeting them through the ice.
Well, when you come down here to Okoboji, we do have some good bluegills over there in Okoboji on west, and east. There's always that possibility.
Yeah.
We might have another lake that we could bring you to that has a pretty good bluegill population of nice quality bluegills too. And
right.
So yeah,
well, before I drive all that way, can you guarantee I'm going to catch a 1-pound bluegill?
I can guarantee you that I'll put you in a spot where you can catch a 1-pound. With your ability, I can't guarantee it.
Oh, all right, that's a safe answer there.
No.
I figured since we're throwing guarantees around so easily,
Yeah,
that maybe I could
I love the guarantee.
Now we're getting carried away with them. So.
No, Craig, before we let you go, you got something really cool coming down the pipe this year with the Hooked on Hardwater deal. me and Matt and you and all the rest of the pros are going to be selling raffle tickets. Why don't you tell us all about what we can possibly win and, whatever goes along with that.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. With Hooked on Hardwater, our two main goals. Number one, obviously, is the boys and showing these boys an opportunity that so many of them will never ever have unless something like this happens. And Scott, now that you've been a part of it, I mean, you see the smiles and you see the excitement that these boys have, and even just the admiration for a leader in the ice fishing industry. But I mean, it really could be a leader in any industry, but they're showing these boys one-on-one attention. That means the world to those guys. So that's obviously priority number one. But priority number two with Hooked on Hardwater is we're raising funds for the Rapid City Club for Boys. It is a solely privately funded organization, and they run anywhere between 200 boys in the wintertime to 550 during the summertime. So it's not a cheap facility to run. So with that, we try to raise funds, and those funds also help encourage more outdoor activities throughout the year. And over the past, we've I think this is our 7th year, and after our 5th year, we'd cracked $100,000 that we had raised, which is just remarkable. I mean, I was so blown away by that, but we're stepping it up. I mean, we're hoping we really step it up this year, and so we got donors to buy us a brand new Honda Pioneer side by side, and we're selling raffle tickets for it. And the raffle tickets are $10 a piece, or a book of 12 for $100. So it's a cheap chance to win something like this. And if you don't have don't want a side by side, or you already have one, you can opt out of that and just get $9,000 in cash. So I mean, it's a pretty worthwhile raffle to get into. But at the end of the day, we're still raising very important funds for the Rapid City Club for Boys. So that's pretty exciting. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. And we got pros throughout the country that are going to be selling tickets for the rest of the winter. Our banquet is in February, and we'll draw the name then, and that should be a pretty exciting time. That's for sure.
Well, I'm just saying this right now. Me and Matt will be bringing out the big trailer.
That's not a terrible idea. I appreciate your confidence. I will not guarantee that you're going to win that, though.
Oh, man.
No, me and Matt, I guess I'm speaking for Matt here, but I know between our conversations, we don't want to wish away the winter, but we cannot wait till the end of February.
Right. Super excited about it.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. It's I don't know. It's just one of those feel good events of the year where it is a ton of work, and I'd be lying if I said there were times I didn't look at it and think, oh my gosh, why am I doing this again? Because it's a ton of work, but all I got to do is go down to the Club for Boys for one of our meetings, or just, my dad is still working down there, just to go see him, and, just the energy that building has, and, the importance it is to those boys. It erases every doubt that I have in my mind that, it's not a matter of if I want to, it's I have to do it. This is something that needs to be done, because these boys they don't get those opportunities, and if we can change the lives of just a couple of boys every year, and this year we're hoping to get 70 to 80 boys out there on the ice. If even 5 of those decide they want to become ice fishermen, then every ounce of stress and everything was worth it. But and I shouldn't even say if they don't even need to become ice fishermen. If they just have a good, positive day with a role model that cares about them, that's a win right there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, I can speak for me and Matt, and I'm sure I can speak for all the boys and all the rest of the pros. Your hard work does not go unnoticed, and we all definitely appreciate you and your wife and everybody else at the club. You guys work hard year round to get this going, and a lot of people appreciate it, man.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I definitely don't do it for the pat on the back or anything like that. I mean, my reward is, honestly, my biggest reward is hearing my dad's stories that he gets out of it. Just hearing what the boys have to say about the whole deal. I'll leave you with one little anecdotal story. This was a couple of years ago. We were down, Friday night. All the pros go to the boys club to meet their boy that they'll be fishing with, and they eat dinner with them, play games. Hopefully, Matt, you'll be in on the dodgeball game because I will be on the other side, just so you know.
Well, I just to let you know, as a PE teacher, I can be practicing up before that too. So.
Well, you better bring your A game, pal. That's all I gotta say.
I've been known to hit a few people in the head before, so.
Hey, 6-year-old kids don't count.
Hey, in my world, they do.
But back to my story. While all that was going on, one of the boys walked up to my dad and just said, "Hey, in the past, we're not doing it this year, but in the past, they'd have all the boys sleep there at the club just so they knew they would all be accounted for." But the boy was talking about where they were going to be sleeping, set up in the gymnasium in sleeping bags, and then the boy says, "Well, where are the pros going to be sleeping?" And my dad said, "Well, the pros have cabins up by the lake." And the boy looked at him and he goes, "You mean they're not going to be sleeping here with us?" And my dad's like, "Well, no." And the boy looked at him real disappointed and goes, "That was some really poor planning." And, it's just those boys, they get so attached to their pros and to just that positive role model that they, that all of a sudden that guy is one of the more important people in their lives, and they don't want to say goodbye to him. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a real feel-good event. I walk away with so much pride when it's all said and done that I'm already looking forward to it. Like you say, hate to wish away winter, but I am very, very much looking forward to the end of February.
Right on. Well, no, Craig, we definitely appreciate you swinging by. With them raffle tickets, if anyone listening wants a raffle ticket, contact me, contact Matt, find Craig on Facebook, call the Rapid City Club for Boys. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can get these raffle tickets, and your chance to win a killer cool prize and put it towards a great cause. We really appreciate you swinging in today, Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for having me on again.
Yeah, first time. This is our first time, second time guest.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun. I actually talked to Craig. An hour before we came on and said, I'm just jacked to not go through the, so where'd you grow up? How'd you get into fishing? Whatever. I'll plug your social media. This was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. So.
Well, so you're not going to let me plug my social media?
Well, yeah, go ahead. Plug your social media.
Plug it away.
I don't even have social media other than my Facebook page, so no, I was joking. But,
no, I know.
Yeah, if I'm going to plug anything, coldsnapoutdoors.com and Hooked on Hardwater. That's all I got.
You bet. Well, we really appreciate it, Craig. You're the best in the business, man.
I don't know about that, but thanks a lot for having me on, fellas.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
Yep.
There he goes, Mr. Craig Oyler out in Rapid City, South Dakota.
The man.
The man.
Do you suppose when he got out on the ice, he kind of said out loud, "This is one small step for ice fishermen, one giant leap for ice season"?
I think he did.
Well, hopefully there's no leaping going on in that early ice.
No, but I think there's a video of him doing it. He was kind of moonwalking out there.
Floating out there. Just boom, boom.
Yeah, people don't realize it, but Craig's a dancer, too.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
He looks like he'd probably be kind of nimble and swift on his feet.
Yeah, he's been known to cut some rug.
Yeah, maybe he'll be on, Dancing with the Stars Rapid City version one of these times or something.
Someday. No, we really appreciate Craig swinging in, and we appreciate everything Craig's done for us.
For sure.
He's a top-notch dude, and kind of taken us under his wing, and yeah, it's been cool. He's opened up a lot of opportunities for us.
Yeah, I haven't found anybody better than, how he's treated us.
Right.
Great guy.
Right. Both of us now hooked on Hardwater Pros, and the other really cool news as of this last weekend, both me and Matt are now Cold Snap Pro staffers, and I'm jacked.
So am I. It's a great honor to be considered. Like Craig talked about him, about the company, and Dan. I mean, just class act all the way around, class company all the way around. So.
Right, and it's cool. It's a local company. Dan obviously is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and his headquarters is right over outside of Albert Lee, I think, or
Right over in
what
that
is
area.
it, Glencoe?
Or Glenville, I think.
Glenville. All right. Well, yep. We got a Cold Snap toothpick right in front of us. What are we looking at? It ain't on there. Whatever. It's over there in Minnesota,
Right.
north of the border. No. But yeah, no. I'm jacked, especially with the announcement of these rods.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun to get one in the hand and test them out.
You bet. Set the hooks.
Set them.
Yep. So, with that, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun talking with Craig. And hopefully we'll see you guys out on the ice soon. So with that, that was episode 47. We'll see you again next week on episode 48. We still didn't come up with a sign-off.
Still haven't. Oh, we gotta. Yeah, I never thought about that. We gotta keep thinking. If anybody's got it, we think anybody give us any ideas.
You stay fishing, Midwest. See ya.